Hey everyone, Charlene here. Today I'm going to show you how to make this wintry happy birthday card. I'm going to start out here with the Sentiment Strips Fancy Die. I'm actually going to use this to cut out strips of cardstock. And I've cut out strips of both Arctic cardstock as well as Paradise. If you don't have this die, you also could use a paper trimmer to cut your strips of cardstock. And now I've taken them and I'm gluing them to an A2 sized piece of white cardstock. This doesn't have to be any kind of fancy cardstock. I'm just using a thin cardstock here, and this is just to hold my paper strips. I'm going across the cardstock in alternating colors to create a nice pattern, and it's actually going to go a little bit over the piece of A2 sized cardstock, and that's okay because we're going to be cutting this down a little bit later with a die. But you can see as I'm adding the strips, I'm just kind of flattening them and then sort of pushing them towards the strips that I've already put down. And that just helps to keep everything nice and straight as I'm going across this piece. Once I was done, I did use a bone folder to go ahead and run across all the strips just so I could make sure that everything was adhered really well and ready to go. And there you can see that beautiful pattern. I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to start working with the Holiday Flourishes stamp. I'm going to take the large floral here and I'm going to stamp it in some intensified black ink, and I'm stamping this onto some Deluxe smooth white cardstock. I'm just going to make sure I get a real good amount of ink all the way across the stamp, and I'm going to stamp it down right there in the center. Now I am going to cut this out as well, but there are not any coordinating dies with this set, so you're going to see what I do in order to cut this out here in just a little bit. But first I'm going to go ahead and add a second stamping just so I can get a really nice, bold, crisp black line here on these florals. In these Holiday Flourishes, there's some nice like swoopy line work, nice florals, a few little snowflakes, some dot work. It's just a really pretty and elegant design. It could be used for lots of different occasions, and I thought it would look really nice for a wintry birthday card. I'm going to color in the stamp here with some alcohol ink markers. I'm starting out with some BG49, and I'm using that to color what would be considered the leaves here. So all the colors I'm going to use to color this in, they coordinate with the Arctic and Paradise strips of cardstock. So we're going to get a really nice overall feeling to our card once we're all done. Here I'm coming in with some BG10 to color in the florals. This is a really nice crisp blue, so again keeping with that wintry theme. This could be used in some bright colors though. The only thing on this that really kind of gives it a holiday-ish wintertime look is the small snowflakes. But you absolutely could color those in and make them look like florals as well. So here I've got the Infinity Arches dies, and you can see I'm going to cut out the floral as well as a piece of silver glitter paper and the first piece we created with the strips of cardstock. For my sentiment, I'm going to be using the Everyday Sentiment strips. I love this series of stamps from Hero Arts. There are several different versions of the sentiment strips at this point. These are the everyday sentiment strips, but there is also Christmas sentiment strips, encouragement sentiment strips, holiday sentiment strips. There's several different ones that are available, and they all coordinate with the sentiment strips fancy die, which will cut them all out at once. Now with these sentiments, I do recommend stamping a few times because there's lots of fine detailed line work on the stamp. It's a large stamp, so you may want to stamp this 2 or 3 times. I'm using the intensified black ink again here. This also would look really nice in the black pigment ink. I would suggest if you're going to use black pigment ink though, to go ahead and heat emboss these with some clear embossing powder, just because there is so much ink it would be easy to smear them on your cardstock. But I think I stamped this 3 times total, and it gave me all of these beautiful sentiments, and all I needed to do was cut them out with the Sentiment Strips fancy die. So you can see how it's created all of these beautiful strips, and then you can just store them back behind your stamp, and anytime you need a sentiment, you can just choose one and cut off the edges of the strip. To add a little bit more interest to my card, I decided to go ahead and stamp directly onto my card base. So I have an A2 sized card base here, and I'm using one of the other holiday flourishes from the set. I have it on an acrylic block, so I was just doing a little bit of practice stamping there. I like to do that to kind of get the stamp conditioned a little bit and to make sure everything's stamping well. And now I'm going to come along the top of the card 3 times with the stamp, and then I'm going to flip the stamp 180 degrees and stamp 3 times along the bottom. There's lots of different ways you could do this. I could have alternated the way I was stamping. I could have taken it off the edge of the piece of cardstock. That always looks really nice when you're trying to create the look of pattern paper. This, however, I wanted it to look really uniform. I wanted those flourishes to be peeking out back behind all of the beautiful arches that we created. To add some dimension, I'll be using foam tape on a few of the different layers here. I've got some foam tape on the back of the striped piece of cardstock we created with the Arctic and Paradise cardstocks. I just love this arch. It's so pretty. I love the infinity dies because you can do so much with them. And the arches in particular work really well for stamp sets that don't have coordinating dies. They always look nice when they are cut out with one of these arches. So I popped up the silver piece of glitter paper as well with some foam tape, but I am going to glue our winter flourish here, our holiday flourish, with some glue onto the silver glitter paper. Wanted to make sure to get a good amount on there so that it sticks well. And then I did put a little bit of foam tape on the back of my sentiment so it can look like it is separated from our holiday flourish. That's going to finish off this fun wintry birthday card. I hope you guys picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell so that you'll know about future videos here on the Hero Arts YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and have a great day.